Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today I want to talk about Mortal Kombat. And why would I be talking about Mortal Kombat on a wrestling channel? So first of all, I've been playing a hell of a lot of Mortal Kombat Ultimate. I am hooked. I haven't even finished the story. I've just been binging the Towers of Time, playing as Rambo. I am really enjoying it. I can't wait to dive back into it, but it got me thinking. With all these wonderful crossovers that Mortal Kombat do, you know, they've had Robocop, they've had Rambo, they've had Terminator, they've had Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, all these sort of pop culture references in the games as playable characters. Which wrestlers would make for excellent Mortal Kombat characters? Now, I've got a few. I've got 5 in particular that I would really want to see. So I'm going to be going through those, talking about which ones I think would make excellent additions to maybe a Mortal Kombat 12. So, shall we start off with my first choice? My first choice is Cody Rhodes. Now, you might be thinking, Cody Rhodes is just a bit basic, isn't he, Cody Rhodes? Why would he make for a good Mortal Kombat character? So first of all, I think he's got a great look. I think him with the style that NetherRealm Studios do for Mortal Kombat, I think he'd look great. I think he'd look terrific. And secondly, he's got all this stuff surrounding him. It'd make for a really interesting series of either special moves, fatalities, brutalities, all these different types of moves and entrances. Would be really cool with Cody. You know, he's got Pharaoh, he's got the Nightmare family surrounding him, he's got his weight belt that he uses to, you know, whip people. He's got a lot of sort of innovative moves. Maybe you could sort of get a stage fatality involving the disaster kick. Cody seems like an obvious choice to me. Maybe that's just me, but I would personally love to see Cody Rhodes as a playable character in Mortal Kombat. Make it happen, please. Next up, we have another AEW star, and that is Le Champion, Chris Jericho. Now, Jericho would just make for insanely good quips and comebacks in the entrance sequences and the finale sequences. But also he's got the inner circle surrounding him. You know, you could get Sammy, Hager, Santana and Ortiz all coming in to help him at some point, involved in the special moves or the fatalities. You've got Floyd, the baseball bat, and the thing with Jericho is you could get so many different versions of him because he's just been around for so long and he's had all these incredible runs. You could get Painmaker Jericho, you could get Inner Circle Jericho, you could get debuting WCW Jericho. All these different sort of iterations of Jericho would fit really well in the world of Mortal Kombat, and I think he'd make for a really interesting playable character personally. So yeah, Chris Jericho is on my list. Next up, this is probably the weirdest one. Is it? Could be. I'm going to say it's the weirdest one. And that's Matt Riddle. Now, you probably a bit like Matt Riddle to me has been ruined by the main roster, but what we need to think about is that he is a trained MMA fighter, and a lot of his offense I think really suits Mortal Kombat. It's the flying knees, the kicks, the strikes, the palm strikes, all of that would work really well. But I think his personality, the sort of stoner, over it dude, would just be insanely great. You know, squaring up against someone like Scorpion or Sub-Zero, these really serious characters, coming face to face with Matt Riddle. That would be phenomenal. It'd be really fun, and particularly since the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were in Injustice 2, also developed by NetherRealm Studios. NetherRealm, if I'm saying it right. And they're similar to Matt Riddle. He's basically a Ninja Turtle. So I think slapping him in Mortal Kombat would just add this really weird fizz of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Weirdness. How about that? Just this weirdness, offbeat character who comes in, does quips, does kicks, and does really brutal fatalities. That is why I think Matt Riddle should be in Mortal Kombat. Next up we have, now I'm sort of cheating here, but this, I really want to see this just because I wasn't planning on saying this, but I've thought of it after saying Matt Riddle. I'd love to see Orange Cassidy in a, you know, Mortal Kombat game. Just his entrance and his fatalities could be off the chain good. So I'm not going to go into depth on that because I haven't really thought about it, but yes, Orange Cassidy, you deserve to be in a Mortal Kombat game. Now moving swiftly on, let's talk about the elephant in the room, let's talk about the Fiend, because of course the Fiend should be in Mortal Kombat because he just looks like a Mortal Kombat character. The mask, the versions of Bray, all the coming in with the lantern, the moves, the choke, the mandible claw, the neck snaps, everything around the Fiend would fit perfectly in the world of Mortal Kombat. He could be a bulky character with that agile, but he could be a really cool addition, because they like bringing in horror characters. Like I said, they've had lots of slasher, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason and all this, and he's basically a slasher villain. So I think bringing in the Fiend could really get sort of games on side with WWE if they could do that crossover. They never will, because the Fiend would rip someone's spine out, but the Fiend would be a great addition to Mortal Kombat. He really, really would. I'm just like picturing him on the cover, and it's like, oh, please, I want to see the Fiend versus Scorpion. I want to see the Fiend versus Johnny Cage. I want to see the Fiend versus Sonya Blade. I want to see all these different matchups, and it would be insanely cool to have the Fiend in Mortal Kombat. And my final pick is an AEW star, former world champion. He's Jon Moxley, because he's Jon Moxley. Unscripted violence is pretty much Mortal Kombat's thing, so bringing in Jon Moxley with all his different weapons and all the different special moves you could do with Moxley, pour some thumbtacks, kick him onto thumbtacks, you could pull out a bat, barbed wire bat, pull out a steel chair, paradigm shift, all these different moves that Moxley's created could just fit so perfectly in that world. He's almost like Negan. Like, I'm picturing Negan from The Walking Dead in Mortal Kombat, but I'd just rather it be Jon Moxley. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. I think Moxley would be a great fit for Mortal Kombat. I think he'd be possibly the best choice out of all the ones that I've said. I'd love to see him just swagger in, with a bat in hand and confront, Noob Saibot or someone like that. Someone really serious, and then like, you're a wrestler. He's like, no, I'm just going to kill you. You could have some great fatalities with Moxley as well. So yeah, those are my picks for characters that I'd like to see in Mortal Kombat. All of these are professional wrestlers. Let me know which wrestlers you'd like to see in Mortal Kombat, and I will try and reply to every single comment. Thank you all ever so much for listening to my rambling thoughts, and have a nice day.